I think for some people that's like a big thing to ask. That's a big thing to commit to. But ultimately, you're committing to your fucking self. Mm-hmm. You're committing to yourself. You're facing yourself. You're reintegrating all these parts of you that make you you. Are you willing? Are you ready? Do you want to even do that? Or no, you just want to you're cool with the way things are. For me, I've very rarely felt like I was like, oh, I'm just cool the way things are.
Yeah, there's a really good quote. It was in that Jordan B. Peterson podcast. The one guy that the author he was interviewing, Greg something or other.
Hurwitz.
He said contentment is deadening. Contentment is deadening. I wrote that in my journal. That was good.
What does that mean to you?
Deadening feels like immobile, numb, in a way kind of useless, I guess. Mm-hmm. And so I think that I don't think that contentment is necessarily bad or wrong. I think that we all kind of seek contentment, and yet I wonder if contentment holds all that we think that it does, all that we expect it to be. Contentment doesn't necessarily give reason or incentive to expand, to grow, to learn, to dream even. So I think moments of contentment are certainly beautiful, but being in a state of perpetual contentment, I could see how that could be deadening, because part of what spurs us forward, I believe, as human beings is really a form of discontentment. And it may not be looked at in that, that kind of sounds negative, right? That's the negative word of contentment, but it's I think the reason for many times, a reason that things get better, that people grow, that technology advances, is because there's a certain level of discontentment. We could also maybe word that as curiosity. Is contentment really a good host for curiosity? Maybe not. And I think there's also the balance. We don't want to be like so discontent that we're just disgruntled with life and that we don't have appreciation for our life experience. But I don't know. Sometimes wonderment and imagination is really birthed from a place of curiosity, not necessarily a place of like just all's well right now. Just like, not all is well, but like things are okay exactly the way they are. I'm totally fine with that. Nothing needs to change at all.
Well, even that idea that nothing needs to change, everything is changing.
Right, all the time. So sometimes I think
time.
contentment can kind of be a little bit like that. Like, that's not really life, So moments of contentment, beautiful. I don't know, contentment is deadening. It definitely brought a lot of thought to my mind of, maybe that idea of like seeking everything to be just right isn't necessarily like all it's cracked up to be, but rather like maybe finding contentment in the process of creation, in the mystery of the unfolding of life experience, finding contentment in how life is rather than finding contentment in everything staying the way it is, Does that make sense? A different kind of angle on it. Yeah.
I feel you. And so I'd be curious. I kind of explained a little bit about what I mean by willingness to face yourself, what does that mean to you?
Yeah, I mean, I think that I feel that you articulated it in a way that I resonate with, for sure. The willingness to go deeper, the willingness to explore, to shed light on the things that aren't maybe completely obvious. I've done that primarily for the past, I guess since November, in dream work. Well, I'll give Kezia a shout out here. Kezia, is it KeziaVita.com? We can post it in the notes or something. She's a really cool, I don't even know what to call her, dream coach or something. So I talk to her, I tell her my dreams, and we process it. And for me, that's really an interesting way to explore myself and to face myself. It's been really fascinating what messages are in my dreams. Like, and this is where I think the subconscious, or the shadow parts of us have sometimes been really demonized. And like there's something that is in our way. And that Mind Power book, what's his name wrote that?
It's John Kehoe.
Yeah.
Mind Power to the 21st Century.
And I just maybe write a note about Mind Power and then Kezia so I can put that in the thing. But he said he had an affirmation in there that was something along the lines of, my subconscious is my advocate for success. My subconscious is my helper. My subconscious mind is here to help me. And I felt that was like actually a really enlightening idea, because I had kind of always thought of the subconscious as like this thing that's right. It's controlling me and I don't know what it's doing. And because I don't know what it's doing, then it must be dangerous. And my subconscious mind is leading me down these perpetual cycles of all the things that I don't want in life. Well, part of that is true. Sure, there's subconscious behaviors that are leading us down paths that we ultimately don't want in our life experience. And until those things are faced, we're going to continue in that. But there are other things in the subconscious that are actually here to help us and to make us better and to make us grow and really that's crying out for us to wake up. Hey, you haven't been looking at this. Yoo-hoo, up there. I'm just letting you know that these like thoughts and ideas that you keep thinking are really dangerous, and actually we're kind of over it. We're over it. Hey, we're over it. And that's what I've discovered in through dream work, really. It's been like, wow, there have been some messages of pure gold in there that have helped me understand myself on a deeper level and have the clarity of what it is that, I don't want to say what it is that needs to be worked on, but what it is that wants to be worked on. What it is that wants to be acknowledged and challenged and changed.
Let's talk about that more.
Okay.
That for something in that just moved something around inside of me. What it is that wants to be worked on as opposed to what you want to work on?
Yeah, or what you think you need to work on.
Okay.
I think that is where your style of coaching is very intuitive and it's very personal. it's very individualized. So you're like, I mean, obviously we both have, everybody has their kind of principles, their way of doing things that kind of doesn't really change that much. But like, you know, your core message doesn't really change that much, but the way it's delivered to somebody is maybe different and personalized.
It's like a custom fit.
Yeah,
Right.
totally. A custom fit. And so that took my brain on a tangent and I forgot what we were talking about.
Oh, what wants to be worked on?
Yeah, what
versus-
wants to be worked on versus what needs to be worked on.
Right.
Yeah, so we can sometimes with like, so
Give me an
with
example.
well with generalized messages of coaching, which I'm not like saying, oh, these are wrong or whatever, but it's very easy, especially in like the self-help community and the spiritual community, to be like, oh, well, what you need to do is you really need to start working on your sense of, you know, abundance, let's say. You know, we really need to instill an abundant mindset within you. So now, like, you need to work on like your lack consciousness. Let's work on that. And so yeah, I mean, I've definitely paid attention to that part of myself, but I think there's been times in my own experience of really feeling like I need to work on my lack consciousness. I have a really big lack mindset, and then I'm getting down on myself. And really, actually, what my mind, my subconscious during this time was telling me, like, seriously, this is actually like an actual example of like I was really trying to work on like this mindset of abundance and getting rid of all the lack inside of me, you know, the lack consciousness. I need to rid it from my experience. And yet what was coming up in my dreams, what was coming up, what my subconscious was personally telling me and crying out for work. I say that with parentheses, you know, like, let's not be crazy here. But it actually wanted me to start feeling.
Wow.
So I'm like, you know what? This is what we really need to work on, which is ultimately kind of like a teacher who ignores the classroom. You know? Well, the book says that we need to start multiplication, but you haven't even figured out, you know,
Right.
like addition yet,
Yes.
or you haven't even gone to like let's like master skip counting, and then we can go to multiplication. And so sometimes, like when we start to think I have to figure out what it is that I need to work
right.
on. It's like, wow, just for me, I realized, oh my God, like take a step back and start listening.
And I love this because as a coach, there's always that question of the starting point. And there's so many systems
Yeah.
that tell you this is where you start.
Right. And no.
Right.
I mean, it may be. But I mean,
Be like John McMullen. John McMullen's my coach, journeysofwisdom.com. And the first session I had with John, I know the first thing he asked me. And he asked me, if you had a magic wand, what's the one thing you would change about your life? And that led into a year worth of coaching, you know? And it wasn't like, well, we're going to start with your root chakra and work up each of the chakras.
Yeah.
You know, we're going to start with, you know, your physical ailments and then work with your emotional, or vice versa. We're going to work with your No, we're going to start with like what arises. What's coming up? Right. So what wants to be worked on? Well, the thing that wants to be worked on in my experience is the thing that you just can't shake. For me, you know, those things that I'm working on are those 2 or 3 things, maybe one thing a day that I'm kind of in this perpetual like state of figuring out.
yeah, the thing that's coming into your consciousness, it's coming into your awareness. I mean, sometimes I think like the word consciousness, I was thinking about this earlier, like we can get really, we think of the mind as like conscious and subconscious. So subconscious is all that we don't know. Conscious is all that we do, like that we're completely aware of or